Ian and I swam, and he did not expect me to swim that well. He was actually kind of shocked, and he was like, we're talking to Cynthia, who is my nutritionist.
I'm actually, though, registered dietitian.
That's right. You said that to me. Yeah. Say that again.
I'm registered dietitian nutritionist, which is different than just a nutritionist.
You studied about it.
Yeah. So I have 2 college degrees in nutrition science. And then, in order to become a registered dietitian nutritionist, so basically you get your bachelor's, you have a couple years of science classes. So biology, chemistry, anatomy and phys, microbiology, all that kind of stuff, human metabolism. Then you have 2 years of just nutrition sciences. Then you do a 1-year internship. Then you pass a board exam. Then you have to maintain your credential. Then you do a master's degree. So it's a lot more schooling,
Wow.
There's a lot of nutritionists out there that of varying credentials. So there are some certifications that don't require a degree. There are some people that are just kind of self-taught. So I basically, call myself a performance nutritionist because I'm also board certified in sports dietetics. So that's additional training to really work with, professional athletes and high performance people. So that could be CEOs, executives, entrepreneurs, people like yourself, high performance.
Oh shit. She said it. I didn't say it. You work with, in New York, you work with the Nets?
Yeah. Brooklyn Nets
and the Yankees.
Yeah.
That's so you're legit.
Yeah, and I've worked I've worked with 5 professional teams as a consultant, and I've worked with numerous pro athletes in my private practice. And I also consult for UCLA's executive health program. I'm a contributing editor at a magazine. So yeah, so I love this. I mean, I can't imagine doing anything else. This is like what I live, sleep, eat, breathe.
Eat, literally. Live, sleep, eat, breathe. That should be the name of your next book. Just live, sleep, and then just big words, eat, breathe.
I like it.
What'd you have for breakfast?
I
asked you this last time and you were sick.
Yeah, I was sick last time. I had a veggie and avocado omelet with a side of organic cherries and an organic decaf coffee with almond milk and cinnamon and water.
Okay. So we're gonna talk about my bender this weekend. We're gonna talk about food, but I want to introduce how we met. Is we're doing something with Men's Health on me competing in a triathlon. And they introduced me to you as my nutritionist. And so we had a meeting out in the Palisades. We also met with who we were speaking of at the beginning of this podcast, Ian. I forgot his last name. Do you remember his last name?
Actually, I don't.
He's like a legit. You guys are both legit. You guys are way more than I deserve. I'll tell you that right now. But
Bert, you deserve the best.
Let's just get into my bender. I was doing really good registering my food.
Okay.
Like I would do
because I don't think you friended me on the app.
I did.
Did you? Okay, so I will because I looked yesterday.
I'll tell you what. Now here. Okay, I have a really hard time, and I'm gonna be super honest in this, and like across the board honest, up and down. There's no reason to lie to someone like you. I had a nutritionist one time who was so fucking bad. Like I reached out and I was in my doctor's. I went to my doctor's office. I said, I'd like to see your nutritionist. And this woman was so bad that I left and I was bummed out. She was like, just like greens and lean proteins. That's it. And I was like, okay. I was like, how should I go? I don't know. I mean, just anything really green. Like didn't like kind of walk me through.
Yeah.
And I just was like, I don't think I really understood what we left and I said to my wife, I was like, I didn't get anything out of that. She's like, I didn't either. She worked at Cedars. This is what I'm going to tell you what I ate. And I'm going to tell you the problems with me. Okay.
Okay.
By the way, I love this app.
It's great. I mean, and some people I feel like really, need a lot of structure and a lot of guidance. And
dude, that's me.
Other people don't. Other people don't do well with that. They kind of rebel against that and they want more guidelines and kind of like step-by-step changes that they can implement. If you're a person who needs a lot of structure, I do think an app like this is beneficial. Some people get stressed out by having to track and log and, look up their stuff on an app. But a lot of people I work with do thrive on that because they get a lot more data. And if you're
I'm a data guy.
Yeah.
I'm a data guy. The app we're talking about is MyFitnessPal.
Yep.
It's through UE, Under Armour.
And it's free also.
It's free. I got the premium one.
Okay.
I got the premium one. And it really is great. Here, let me see. We got to go back to when I was logging, and that was not this weekend. I went off the rails so fucking hard this weekend. Okay. So we met Tuesday?
Yeah, I think it was Tuesday.
Okay, this is Tuesday.
Okay.
I ate 1,700 calories.
That seems low for you. So what did it give you? Because remember we talked about putting in your goal.
It said put in your goal.
Yep.
And then say maintain that goal.
That's right. Instead of weight loss, because I think you never want to eat less than it takes to get to and stay at your weight goal. Then you have to count for your training. You don't want to eat back everything that you've burned, because then you're not going to, but just by automatically putting in your weight goal instead of your current weight, it actually protects you better from the risk of undernourishing, which can weaken your immune system, increase your injury risk, which we talked about. We do not want that to happen. I've had clients tell me that they're training so hard, they get to like few days before the event, they get injured before the event, and then all that training is, they can't follow through with the event. So definitely don't want that to happen to
2,600 calories. 2,600.
That's what it told you as the target?
Yeah, that's my target.
Okay.
But then immediately I was like, I get into this. I don't know if other people do this, and I don't know if guys do this, or if I know Brendan Schaub and I talk about this a lot. Brendan Schaub's a professional fighter, now a podcast host, and I look at 2,600 calories and then I go, but if I eat less, I'll lose more weight. It's almost like I think it is an eating disorder.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like the simple math, right? But it's not that simple. So if you undereat, you can actually lose muscle tissue and you can slow down your metabolism. It can make it harder to lose body fat. It's all about getting it to the Goldilocks, like not too little, not too much, just right. If you hit that to where you're eating enough to support, what's your weight goal?
I think my weight goal is 210.
Okay. So if you ever eat less than it takes to support 210, and on top of that, you're training, you're creating like a double negative there, right?
Yeah.
So your body isn't getting enough just to meet its basic needs for 210. You don't want to eat enough to support the extra weight that you're carrying that you don't want to keep. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But going less than it takes to support your weight goal also doesn't really make a lot of sense, because then you run the risk of your body going, whoa, Bert, you're not giving me enough to do all this stuff that I need to do. And I'm going to go into protection mode. And protection mode means your cells don't work as efficiently.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's all I'm doing. That's all I'm doing is protection mode.
It is a mindset though that you have to break, because I think you're right. And I think it's everybody that has this idea that, well, if I eat 500 calories less than that, I'll lose weight faster, I'll lose more body fat. It would be so great if it was that simple. Human metabolism and physiology is complicated, and so when you really understand how a running deficit, like day after day after day, works, you're not going to lose the right type of weight. If you really want to maintain muscle mass and you want to maintain good functioning tissue and you want to lose body fat, you have to eat enough.
Okay. So then by the way, these are my calories from Tuesday is 1,700. Wednesday was 730.
What happened Wednesday?
I didn't feel hungry, and then I was like, and then I get mentally in my head and I go, this is how we do it, bro. By the way, I'm looking good Wednesday. I don't think I drank Tuesday night. I don't drink normally like weekday nights. I didn't drink Tuesday nights. Me and you had talked about, you're like, cut back. I go, okay, cut back. And I was like, cut back totally. Take a Xanax. And so then everyone sat down for dinner and I took a Xanax and I was like, I'm going to bed. And I went to bed at like 7 o'clock, woke up the next day feeling refreshed. I think it gets worse. And then I traveled Thursday. I didn't eat at all Thursday. I didn't eat once Thursday. And then all of a sudden I go into Friday. I traveled Wednesday, landed Wednesday night, didn't eat at all, but I drank Thursday. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden I'm like so fucking hungry that I end up eating barbecue. I had a burger, and then we were out at like 4 a.m. eating pizza. I'm drinking beers through the roof. I'm drinking double Tito's like they're going out of water. And then I don't know if it's my blood sugar, but come Saturday when we're in Detroit at the Fox Theater, I'm backstage. I didn't eat. I had a double cheeseburger Saturday afternoon, and I am like almost crazy. Like I don't know if it's my blood sugar or what, but I can't even think straight backstage. I'm not enjoyable. I'm literally laying down, almost like I'm physically ill. I also get a little bit of nerves before I go on stage, especially Fox Theater is a massive 4,000 seat venue. So like, it's probably the biggest I've ever performed in front of. And then that night I ate some healthy food that was around, and then I went to bed. Woke up the next day, ate healthy, not too bad, But then I posted pictures from the Detroit Fox Theater show, and my belly is distended. Like I look like those kids in Africa where Sally Struthers used to help. And that's when my buddies all texted me this morning, and they're like, "What the fuck is this? We need answers." And I'm like, I don't know. I have no self-control. I have no basis for like. I get caught up in my head, and then I'm like, and we talked about this, and here's where I think I put my chips on someone like you, and my buddy Joe Rogan is probably one of the most informational sources on fitness, nutrition, biohacking, all these things. But I feel like I get too inundated. I feel like I have too much information, and so I kind of wanted to talk to you about things that we talked about a little bit the other day, but I wanted to go into detail about.
Yeah, you have to have the foundation. Before you can get into biohacking and all that, you've got to have the solid nutrition foundation, which is, we talked about quality, balance, timing. So quality food, balance of macronutrients, and that's why that MyFitnessPal is better, because it includes macros. Yeah. And then timing.
I'm gonna stop you when I don't know what something is.
Okay.
What do you mean macros? What's macros?
So macronutrients are carbs, proteins, and fats. There's only 4 types of calories: carbs, proteins, fats, and alcohol. Okay. So alcohol we can talk about separately. Obviously, alcohol is not a required type of calorie. We don't need it for health, right?
Creative type.
We don't require it.
How else are you going to enjoy the Smiths?
But carbs, proteins, and fats we do require, and they're very different. I think I said to you, they're like windshield wiper fluid, motor oil, and gasoline. That's how different from each other they are. So you don't want to interchange them. You want to have them in the right amounts to do the jobs that they really ideally should be doing for you. But one thing I'll say about undereating, because I think you're right, the rebound overeating is a real thing. When you undereat, you tend to rebound overeat.
I was at a pizzeria with my buddy Sal, his girlfriend. I don't even remember. By the way, this is the night that someone gave me Coke that I did not do it, but a guy gave me like almost a half a pound of marijuana. And I was at this fucking pizzeria, one sipping diet sodas and Tito's and sodas, one sipping them, and taking a square of pizza in my mouth as if it was a bite. And I was the fucking machine. You should have seen me. I was gosh. And then I get up for the plane flight the next day, and I'm like, whoa, I got like 3 hours sleep. And then I get to the airport, and I'm like, I definitely need a double Tito's and soda to right this boat. Because I'm just like, I feel like maybe it's blood sugar. I don't even know. But I didn't mean to stop you, so keep going.
Yeah. There's a lot. We can go back to, there's a lot to that.
Overeating.
One thing I will say about undereating. Imagine, so you have 2 beautiful dogs I met. Okay. Imagine your veterinarian.
Those are my daughters, by the way. I'm kidding. Slam, Georgia and Isla.
My cat's my baby, so I totally get it. If your veterinarian said to you, this is how much food your dog needs per day to be healthy, and then you gave it 50% of that or 75% of that, you'd feel terrible. Can
I tell you what I do? By the way, my vet says your dog needs 1 cup, and then I think 3 small cups. Like, so we have a cup size thing and then 3 small cups. Our small dog gets 1 small cup, but our big dog gets 1 cup and then 3 small cups. And then I just go, or I could just do 2 heaping cups. You know what? I'll give her a little extra. Who doesn't want a little extra food, you know? And so that's the way my brain works. I don't think my brain's healthy. And I wonder how much of what you do sometimes deals with unhealthy brains.
A lot. A lot of it goes back to, where did this thinking originate from? Where did you learn some of these food related rules?
Shame.
And do that.
Shame.
Yeah.
Shame. Like, my eating problems, my self-esteem is tied to my weight. It's very, I mean, like, it is so connected. It's insane. The lowest I've ever been in my life, coincidentally and not coincidentally, is the fattest I've ever been in my life.
The lowest, you mean emotionally?
Emotionally, where I just couldn't find any reason anyone would like me or respect me in my head. Now, people did like me and respect me, but in my head, I was like, and coincidentally, we were also rebuilding our house. I had gotten fired from Travel Channel. I wasn't selling tickets on the road, and no one watched my Showtime special.
That's a lot.
It was a lot. And by the way, I'm not going to, it was a lot. And then I lost weight, and serendipitously, I started selling out everywhere. I stopped caring about Travel Channel. I started making more money than I was making on Travel Channel. The house got finished. Everything like clicked, and I was like, whoa. So in a weird way, when I start gaining weight again, and this all stems from running the marathon, my self-esteem starts dropping, you know?
I think, so I like to focus not on weight, but on what behaviors are related to the weight. Because I feel like weight's a side effect of your relationship with food and your lifestyle, right? So you can, I mean, I've worked with athletes who by technical standards, their BMI, they're technically overweight, but they have incredible nutrition, they have incredible training, they have good sleep, they have good mental attitude, all that kind of stuff. So would I say that they're unhealthy because their BMI is a certain number? No. I mean, I do feel though that how you lose weight, weight is something that's within someone's control. You can lose weight and in any number of ways. You can lose weight by starting to smoke. Obviously, I wouldn't recommend that because that's not good for your health.
I just said to my wife in the car ride yesterday, maybe I'll take up smoking. I literally said that out loud.
I've had many like really smart adults tell me that they've considered doing that or that they have done it because it dulls your appetite. When you're hungry, you can just reach for a cigarette. It works, quote unquote, but obviously it's horrible for you. Yeah. In order to have the same health risk as smoking, you'd have to gain 100 pounds. That's how bad smoking is for you. Right. So it is probably the most important thing health-wise that you can do is not be a smoker. But people are wanting to have that sense of control over their weight. And if they can find an easy kind of shortcut to lose the weight, whether it's some crazy diet or detox or cleanse or whatever it happens to be, you get that sense of empowerment. Like I'm taking charge, I'm taking control, I'm getting results. And that can maybe right your mindset in some ways, but it can also negatively impact your health and wellness in a lot of other ways. Yeah. So if you can do the two things at the same time, reach your weight goals, but do it in a way that makes you optimize your overall health and wellness mentally and physically. Obviously, that's the win-win.
That's the win-win. And you were saying, which I was wondering in the middle of this week when I felt my sickest, you're like, good food. You said something about the clean, healthy food you eat is the good fuel. And that makes you feel better. Like I forget what you said, but all I could hear was, all I heard was, don't eat shit in box. And don't eat the shit in a box. Just eat the shit that is ingredients.
Real food.
Real food.
I mean, when you look at any packaged food, I mean, you could look at a packaged food and it could have one ingredient. Like if you buy frozen blueberries in a bag and the only ingredient is blueberries, okay, I'm okay with that. Yeah. It's convenient. You don't have to wash it, cut it, whatever. If it's like frozen broccoli, it's a little bit of a shortcut. But if you look at an ingredient list and you don't know how to pronounce it, you can't recognize it, you don't know where it came from, sounds like a science or chemistry experiment to you, you probably don't want to be putting that in your body. Because you're putting something in that has no purpose. It doesn't help fuel your body. It doesn't help repair, heal, maintain your body. It doesn't support your immune system. It doesn't create a sense of anti-inflammation, which is critical, especially when you're putting wear and tear on your body through training. Yeah. Right. So it's like a missed opportunity. You had that opportunity to eat something that could enhance your health and wellness, improve your immune functioning, reduce inflammation. But if you use that opportunity on a food that doesn't do that, that's okay sometimes. I mean, it's not realistic that you're going to go through the rest of your life never eating, some treat or some splurge. But if you have that 80-20 rule, or for some people, they prefer 90-10, that 10% of the time or that 20% of the time when you're treating yourself and you're splurging, it should be strategic. It shouldn't be right before you really want to perform mentally or physically. So right before you go on stage or something, or right before you train. And it really shouldn't be... And it really shouldn't be right after when you've had some stress on your body or mental stress.
Those are the two times I do it.
Yep.
That's when I do it the most. Yep. It's when I'm here and I have no stress that I'm super clean. Yeah. Today I have 4 stalks of kale, half a cucumber, 4 stalks of celery, a handful of spinach, a green apple, and a thumb of ginger in a shake.
Okay, I like all those ingredients. However, it's not completely balanced. So you got a lot of produce in there. Where's your protein? Where's your good fats?
I was like, I'll wait till lunch.
Oh, see, again, missed opportunity. So the best way, so we have research to show that when you spread your protein out throughout the day, you're better able to utilize that protein for maintenance, healing, and repair. So another thing about undereating, so 700 calories, if you were to lay in bed all day and do nothing, Bert, that wouldn't be enough for you because your body is constantly performing, even when you're just sitting here talking.
Yeah.
Obviously we're not performing as much as if we were, on a bicycle or something like that, but we're still performing because our circulation is going, our heart's beating, our brains are working. We need some energy to do those jobs. And then on top of that, we're always regenerating, repairing, and healing. So all of our cells have kind of a pre-programmed lifespan. So a skin cell lives about 30 days. It sloughs off and becomes, dust. And you need to replace those cells from the inside out. And how you do that is based on the raw materials from what you've been eating. So the quality of the food you eat really does translate into the quality cells that you build. So we're always doing that. It's like, we're a construction site that's always...
That's such an interesting, because I've been worried about, that makes total sense. The quality food you eat is directly related to the quality cells you're rebuilding.
Exactly. Yeah. And on top of that, then you've got healing, because, any wear and tear that you put on your body creates stress to those tissues, and you need to heal that. So fitness, you actually get the results. I mean, you get some results like cardiovascularly, et cetera, from training, but on your tissues, your skeletal muscle, your joints, et cetera, where you really get the impact is from the healing from that wear and tear. Because if you put the stress on the muscle and you don't heal it properly, you actually go into the next day weaker. You don't heal that properly, you go into the next day weaker.
I feel that way sometimes.
Yeah, it's true.
Like I feel that way the next day. I'm like, I should feel better. And I just feel like, I took a Xanax the night before. And I'm like, I do not feel like, I remember a time in my life, I was 186 pounds. Now granted, that is, considerably lighter, but I was eating whatever I wanted to eat. But I felt so good running. Mm-hmm. Like I was eating clean.
It's easier. Okay. So eating clean. So, your weight or your body composition, your body fat is like one piece of the puzzle. Your nutrition.
Hang on, I'm going to interrupt you. For the person that is calling is one of the guys fat shaming me, and I want him to know that I'm sitting with my nutritionist. Okay. His name is Tom Segura. He's a very fat comedian. Hey, I'm sitting with my nutritionist doing a podcast. Is there something you wanted to talk about?
Are you like 260 now?
See, what did I tell you? No, it was my nutritionist says it's bloat.
Yeah, let me tell your nutritionist something, okay?
Okay.
It's fucking visceral fat, not fucking bloat.
No, dude, it was a rough weekend. It was a really rough weekend.
Oh, really? You put on 25 pounds over the weekend?
No. See, do you suggest having friends like this if you're trying to lose weight?
Obviously not helpful. Not
you
helpful.
Hear that?
Yeah. I hope she's telling you to go on a fucking 30-day fast. I don't know how else it's going to drop off.
Don't worry. It's half of it's gone right now. It was just a rough weekend.
So is she encouraging maybe like a half gallon of vodka a weekend, or what's her plan for you?
We've got 4 things that we look for. We look for fuel, we look for lubrication, and we look for booze. So it's a 4-point plan.
I just heard 3, but okay, that's good. And,
we're working on it. I'm training for this triathlon, and so a lot of the weight was from doing the stupid fucking marathon, but and then going off the rails.
Because you thought that the afterburn lasted for months. Is that why?
Yeah. All right, I'll call you later today.
How was the shows, by the way? Were they good?
Yeah, they were awesome. Yeah, except I was off the rails, like off the rails.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
So he's the reason I lost weight in the first place, because he was fatter than me. He was like 270, and he started fat shaming me. I was like 255, 260 at the time. And so he started fat shaming me, and then we both lost weight. But I lost weight the initial time by just eating under 1,000 calories every day.
Wow. Okay. So that is a way to lose weight. Is it the best way to lose weight? No. Is it the way to lose weight that you will keep it off long term? No. No way. I mean, there's a million diets out there. They all work in a sense that they will help you lose weight, but that's not maybe the right kind of weight that you want to lose, because again, you're weakening your body instead of strengthening it, and you're not going to be able to sustain it. So when you're on this roller coaster of up, down, up, down, up, down, it's also not good for your heart. It's not good for your overall health.
Yeah, I feel like that. Yeah. I feel like that entirely. So wait, I want to talk to you about diet plans and how to eat healthy. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about my shakes and then a way to approach that. But I want to talk about how you got into this in the first place, because I find that fascinating in that, you sent me that article and I read it and I was like, oh, like, how did, like, I know how I got into comedy because I was like, had a passion for giggling, you know, and I didn't want to be drug tested. But like, how did this find its way into your life?
I would say that my dad really was probably the number one factor. So when I was in high school, I was, trying to decide upstate New York.
Oh, that's right. You told me that.
Yeah.
Lake Saranac's where I was trying to talk about.
Oh, okay. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Upstate New York is beautiful. So I was in high school. I knew, got to figure out what I want to go to college for. And my favorite class, when you go to a class, like I now in retrospect, I feel bad saying this, but I didn't like history. History, I was like, ugh, I don't want to go, but health class, I could not get enough of it. I couldn't, I wanted to read ahead in the chapters. I wanted to what else can I read? I loved health.
Really?
So my health teacher, who was fantastic, said, okay, do you want to go to medical school? Do you want to be a veterinarian? Like, what are you interested in? And I said, I don't know. I know I just want to do something with health. So she sat me down. She gave me this book. I think it was called The Big Book of Health Professions. It was like A through Z. You go through, acupuncturist and whatever,
Oh, wow.
You look through, and I found this dietitian. And I was like, that's it. So when I was in high school, my dad's brother got diagnosed with colon cancer, and he died shortly. I mean, he had symptoms, didn't go to the doctor. He probably died like a month after he got diagnosed or something. And my dad, who had always been very meat and potatoes, picky eater, didn't really eat vegetables, this is pre-internet. So he started going to the library and like getting books and getting, these newsletters from like Tufts and Harvard about nutrition. He started eating broccoli and wheat germ and all this stuff. And I was fascinated by this idea you could maybe prevent a disease that runs in your family by how you eat. How cool is that,
Yeah.
And then just when I learned more about what a dietitian was, and at that time there were magazines like Mademoiselle and these women's magazines, and they always had dietitians quoted in them talking about nutrition. And I was like, how fun. Like, I get to talk about nutrition and food and like healthy eating and recipes and whatever. I could do that for a job.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So then when I was in grad school, I was a teaching assistant for this amazing professor who was just a very cool woman. And she had worked with athletes. She was one of the kind of pioneering sports nutritionists. And she encouraged me to work with athletes. She said, you get immediate results and it's really fun. I mean, I knew I didn't want to work in it, even though I have a clinical background. So I have, training in things like, disease states, prevention of disease states and management of disease states. I knew I didn't want to work in that. I wanted to work with well people. And I just wanted to educate and talk about nutrition and health and wellness. So I definitely feel like I chose the right field because it's been 22 years I've been in the field now.
22
and I love it.
So wait, you were in the field when Atkins showed up.
Yeah. I met him.
Really?
I met him, yeah. He was one of the most unhealthy looking people.
He was, really?
Yeah. He didn't have a good, how like healthy people have kind of a glow to them?
You got the glow.
He didn't have the glow.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how old you were and I couldn't. I was like looking at your face going, wait, I don't know.
I'll be 48 this year.
What?
Yeah. So I'm older than you.
You're going to...
1970s, baby.
Oh my God, you do not remotely look 48. It remotely.
Oh,
so
thanks.
wait, so Atkins looked unhealthy?
Yeah, he didn't come across as like this, vibrant, healthy, vital, kind of guy. I heard him do a debate, with another doctor about nutrition and diets. And obviously I was not on the Atkins side.
Yeah, well, it seems like keto is simply Atkins.
Keto is higher fat than Atkins though. So keto, the true keto, if you're actually really doing true keto, 75 to 90% of your calories come from fat. That's incredibly high. That's higher than Atkins.
That seems not healthy for your heart.
I would agree. And I'll tell you, being a clinical dietitian, so we get blood work on people that have done keto. And a lot of them, their blood work goes really wacky. I mean, their cholesterol, their HDL to LDL ratio, their triglycerides. I mean, even their fasting, some of their numbers, even just in a fairly short period of time doing keto, really go in the wrong direction, even if they've lost weight. So whenever you lose weight, sometimes you get improvements in your blood pressure and your blood sugar and all that kind of stuff, and you feel better. But the other issue with keto is it's pretty hard to get enough fiber. So the keto constipation is a real problem. When you're doing let's say to get a little bit more protein, if you did 75% of your calories from fat, so you could fit in a little bit more protein, and then maybe 5% from carbohydrates, you can barely eat. I mean, there are a few vegetables that are very, very low carb that you can eat, but you can't eat enough total produce to get the fiber that you need.
Yeah.
And so that's really not good for your gut health, in addition to the fact that your blood fats are being altered in a way that may, when I was early in my career, I worked in cardiac rehab and I worked in oncology before I, was able to really go into like, fitness and sports nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, in cardiac rehab, there are thin people. In oncology, there are thin people. So it's not necessarily true that like everyone who's overweight is going to be, of course there's statistically an increased risk of, certain diseases when you're overweight or obese, but thin people aren't exempt from getting cardiovascular disease or strokes or cancer. So again, I like to focus on the habits and the lifestyles, not just the numbers.
Yeah. So that fat guy that we just called, he's keto. He's 100% keto. And like I watched him eat one time and it was just, it looks healthy. It looks like, but it just was a lot of fats.
Yeah. It's funny that you bring that up because I was just looking at a keto menu today that I was just like looking at some of the in the morning, like when I, wake up, I try to look at research and look at, stats and stuff like that, trends. And I happened to come across this keto menu and I was scanning it just to kind of see like what was in like a 1-day menu. No fruit. The fact that the nutrients, the phytonutrients, which are what give a fruit its color, aroma, flavor, snap, like when you bite into an apple and it has that snap, all of those are actually very protective at the cell level against disease, against mutations of DNA that can lead to a disease state. So you're missing, that's like so much protection that's not showing up for work in your body every day. And the vegetables even are very limited. So when it comes to produce, we actually want to have a lot of variety because it's like having Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, whatever. Like you're having a broader spectrum of protection at your cell level when you expose your body to a wider array of produce. So, you can overeat fruit. It's true. You can get too much fruit, more than your body can burn or use in terms of the carbohydrates or the sugar in fruit. But you don't want to go, again, the Goldilocks, like why go under? It doesn't make sense to go over, but it does not make sense to go under.
Yeah.
You just want to get that balance. Balance is really that, fluid, for example, your body likes balance. When you overhydrate, you feel waterlogged. You're constantly having to run to the bathroom.
It was yesterday.
Yeah. When you're dehydrated, you feel horrible. You have headaches.
So then let's say, by the way, that guy that just called, prides himself on water. Like he literally, not even, you're going to think he's crazy. He goes around on streets referring to himself as the water champ. Like people will be like, I'm Bill. And they're like, oh, water champ. And you're like, what the fuck? How much water should a person have in a day?
Probably about 2.5 to 3 liters. Okay,
let's put that in American terms.
So this that's a lead. That's like a half liter, I think.
I'm so bad with liters.
Yeah.
This is 16 fluid ounces.
Okay, so this 2 cups. Half a liter.
This is half a liter?
Yeah. So
this is 500 milliliters.
Yeah. So let's just say 8 to 10 cups a day. Now, so our total fluid needs, about 20% of them, if you're eating fairly healthy, come from food. Okay. So if you eat, anything that has water in it, whether it's salad or soup or, fruit or whatever, you're going to get some fluid there.
Yeah.
But just straight water for most people, 8 cups a day thing, it really does hold true.
So 8 of these a day?
No, like 4 of those a day.
4 of these? That's all you need is 4 of these a day?
That's minimum.
Minimum, okay.
Yeah.
I woke up this morning.
Obviously more if you're sweating and you need to...
I just worked out. That's why I'm sweating now. But,
and we need to talk about electrolyte. We talked about it a little bit when we met before. That's very important.
So minimum 4 of these. And then I'm holding up just the 16 fluid ounce Mountain Spring bottle of water if you're listening. And then now tell me if I'm doing something wrong, because this is the way I operate. And by the way, I think there is something, I have a personality disorder maybe or something. But like I woke up this morning and I drank 32 fluid ounces in 1 sip. Like I just got up.
Like you just gulped it.
I filled up. I have these 32 ounce styrofoam cups. They're not in here right now, but I have 8 sleeves of them in the garage. They're huge. I get them at Smart Final. And I drink by the 32 fluid ounce. So I fill it up the night before with ice, all with ice and a little bit of water. So it's there in the middle of the night if I need it, if I'm thirsty. But then in the morning when I wake up, I take it and I drink the whole thing in 1 sip. And then that helps me go to the bathroom.
Okay.
But am I going about it too hard?
So it's about 4 cups in one sitting. you probably do. It's probably not a terrible. I mean, if number one, hopefully you wouldn't wake up dehydrated.
I wake up dehydrated.
If you wake up dehydrated,
depending on how much of the soda water and the Tito's and soda I had the night before. Like last night was an anomaly. I went over to my buddy Joey's podcast, and it was a little bit of a party, and so it was 5. But all I had was like 2 drinks. But I didn't get hammered last night. But I definitely had 2 drinks. But I think I probably wake up dehydrated every night, every morning.
So if you wake up dehydrated, that's probably not a crazy amount of fluid to drink first thing in the morning. I would drink it a little bit slower though. Just give because your stomach, your stomach can expand to hold about maybe 6 to 8 cups at one time. So a baseball is about a cup. That's why when you're talking about on stage, your stomach was distended. It can stretch. I mean, you can stuff a lot of food in there in a very short period of time. That's not great for digestion. It's not great for
I was so bloated this weekend I couldn't get my fingers around my wrist.
Okay, so that you had fluid retention as well. So you probably had a high.
My arms felt bloated.
So in addition to gut bloat, meaning you had stuff in your digestive system was causing it to expand out. Then on top of that, you had water retention and probably from sodium. Because a lot of like pizza, really high in sodium. So when you have water is kind of attracted to sodium like a magnet. So when you have a really higher than usual sodium intake, you retain more fluid, and that can stick around for 72 hours or whatever. So when that starts to go away, you start to lose that. Like some people will say their watch or their ring, like they can't get their ring off.
I couldn't get my ring off.
Yeah.
I couldn't get my ring off, and my watch felt tight.
Yeah. Or when you take your socks off, you have marks where your socks
marks on my legs. I'm standing a lot, so in a weird way, in the middle of the day, I feel like my knees are bloated. I feel like my legs are bloated.
Well, the other thing with drinking, because alcohol is dehydrating too. So when you're drinking a lot, and then your body is gonna go, whoa, like I'm not getting enough fluid. I'm gonna retain more fluid. So it's like this double effect of the sodium plus the fact that you're rebounding from the dehydration effect from the alcohol.
I don't know if I had a glass of water this weekend.
Yeah.
I would be shocked if I had a water this weekend.
So putting that behind and moving forward, talking about, and of course, like I said, when we saw each other last time, text me anytime, because I love getting questions. I mean, I definitely, now that I know that you did friend me on the app, I want to be able to see, your data and be able to give you feedback on it, and hopefully kind of like move you more in a direction of balance. So you can do this the healthy way.
I want to talk about balance. I want to talk about the way to move forward. I also want to talk about some things that are in my head that I want to scrap, but I think are very popular. So now, what's the difference between keto and paleo?
So paleo does allow higher percentage of calories from carbohydrates, still fairly limited. So
but these are vegetable carbohydrates,
yeah,
right?
I mean, they do allow like some sweet potatoes, like berries, some things that in keto just wouldn't be room for them based on the macros, the carb, protein, and fat ratio of keto is so strict. Like again, 5% of your calories from carbohydrate doesn't leave much room for some of the foods that paleo does then allow. Paleo's no dairy, no grains, no legumes. So no beans, lentils, peas, chickpeas, no brown rice, no quinoa, no yogurt, no cheese. So do I think that's optimal? I mean, when I look at what someone's doing diet-wise, like sometimes people will tell me, I'm doing paleo and I feel amazing. It's because what they were doing before paleo was so bad. Like they were eating a lot of processed foods and they weren't eating a lot of produce. Paleo creates a much healthier diet just by way of being unprocessed. I mean, paleo doesn't allow any processed foods and sugar. So you're not eating a burger with a bun. You're maybe eating a grass-fed burger on lettuce or something like that. So you're automatically cutting out the processed foods and all those artificial additives that we talked about, kind of just mucking up your system and being pollution, to your body. So that's great. And it's much higher produce intake than most people had probably been eating. But do I think that it really is the ultimate? I would say a modified paleo would be better, where you're allowing a little bit more fruit, a little bit more, I like whole grains. I mean, some people, if they have certain issues like autoimmune conditions or other issues, maybe will do better with grain-free diet. But for a lot of people, like quinoa is amazing. It's an amazing
protein,
grain.
correct?
It has more carbs than protein. I mean, it is
yeah?
a whole grain, but it's one of the higher protein grains, even though it does have more carbs than protein. But it's a decent plant protein source. And then I do think that pulses, which are kind of the umbrella term for beans, lentils, peas, chickpeas, hummus.
Pulses, why are they called pulses?
That's just the terminology. Like, you know how like whole grains is a category and brown rice and all that falls into that category. Category is called pulses for those foods.
Okay.
So they're amazing for you. I mean, black beans, high antioxidant, high fiber, slow burning carbs, high mineral. I mean, they're associated with increasing endurance. I mean, there's a lot of great things about these foods that are not allowed on paleo. So I think allowing some of these really high nutrient functional foods, like functional food means it does something functional in your body. It could be your brain, like helping cognitive function or mental focus and sharpness and mood, or it could be something physically functional, like it helps increase endurance beyond another type of carbohydrate. Those are important foods too. You don't want to exclude those if you don't have to. So what I see is people get good results with paleo, but they are unnecessarily omitting some foods. They could get the exact same results while adding foods back that they've taken out if they do it the right way.
So now, okay, let's talk about intermittent fasting. That's something I got obsessed with. And me and my buddy Brendan were like, I think we talked about it and we're like, the problem with it is it, for me, intermittent fasting really flexes the muscle of almost, I would say, of like obsessive compulsiveness. It's whatever that unhealthy part of my brain is, that it's like, all right, I've got 16 hours no food, let's go 20. Let's see if I can do. I did one day, I think I did 35 hours no food. Wow. And I was like, I'm killing it. I feel great. By the way, I was drinking, so I don't know if that counts as no food, but I was drinking and smoking weed. But you get to this place where you're like, I'm not touching. And then it's almost like you don't know how to welcome food back into your life. You get to this place where you're like, what am I going to have? I don't want to have that. I don't. That's got too much shit in it. I want to go clean. They have ahi? Oh no, I don't want that. I can't trust our ahi at this fair or whatever. I was at a fair. But so what's your view on intermittent fasting and what are the benefits? Because I know there's like 12-hour intermittent fasting, which I did before, and I actually really enjoyed. And I loved the idea that just stop eating at 8 and you can start again eating at 8.
Yep.
But then I did 16, which is just no breakfast. And then you do your workout and you kind of feel ripped after your workout.
Yeah.
So what's your views on intermittent fasting?
Number one, I think it depends. I do think that the 12 generally for most people works pretty well, right? Yeah. But because it's not extreme and it sort of makes sense to your circadian rhythm, right? If you're cutting off at 8 p.m. and between 8 p.m. and 8 a.m., you're pretty inactive. You're hopefully sleeping during that time. Maybe you're spending time with your family. You're on your computer. You're not really going to be physically active. Then you don't really probably need to eat during those hours, right? That makes sense for how your body works. Now, if you're doing intermittent fasting where you're cutting it off at 8 and you have a workout at 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night, that doesn't make sense to me, right? Okay, so going along with what's going on with your body at the times that you're eating at the times that you're not eating.
Intermittent fasting should be connected to your circadian rhythms.
I think so, because
circadian rhythms are sleeping patterns, right?
So like we normally have a little bit of a lull in the afternoon, like 3-4 o'clock. We have that little dip in energy. That's part of the normal circadian rhythm, right? But for most of us, when the sun starts to go down, our bodies start to prepare for rest and sleep. And when the sun starts to come up, our bodies start to prepare for being awake and alert and functioning. So for most people, however, if you work nights, like I've done that too. And I've had jobs where I've worked 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., which is, really unnatural. But when you're throwing your body off its normal rhythm, it can affect appetite, it can affect hormone function, it can affect metabolism.
My body has no normal rhythm. There's no
that's
normal rhythm
tough.
on mine.
So that's what I said to you last time. I don't know if you remember this part, if you can, which for you I know is tough. We could talk about how to make it a little bit easier, but try to create some pattern. So for example, you may not wake up at the same time every day, but if you do eat breakfast within an hour of waking up, no matter what time that is, and then you're eating like 3 to 5 hour increments after that until you go to bed, and maybe you have even if you have a 3 to 5 hour stretch between the time you eat last and the time you go to bed, okay, then you're on some sort of a pattern that your body can get used to and adjust to. If it's totally erratic, where not only are you waking up at different times, but you're also maybe one day going 8 hours in between meals, another day is going 4 hours between meals, another day it's 6 hours between meals, then your body has no pattern.
That's my body.
Yeah. And that's
body.
that's not optimal for digestive health, for, again, all the things that you want to optimize.
Yeah.
Immunity, anti-inflammation, etc. So
that's what I want. I want to optimize my immunity and my digestion. And anti-inflammatory, yeah, I think because I'm always sore. My back has been sore I think from riding stupid fucking roller coasters. But but yeah, I think I can wrap my head around that, meaning like I won't go to bed most nights. Half the nights I'll go to bed at, like last night I went to bed at, I don't know what time I went to bed last night. I think pretty early, considering. Most nights I won't go to bed until 2 a.m. And so, but I won't eat late night. I stopped. I've been good at that, not this past weekend, but I've been good about that on the road at clubs. I can definitely I can have my last meal in between first and second show or before first show, and then not eat again the rest of the night, and then sleep pretty solid, and then wake up. But I don't eat breakfast per se on the road. I eat when I wake up.
What do you have? What's your typical first meal?
I'm trying to think of something semi-healthy, nothing too bad. I'm trying to ballpark it. Usually maybe something at the airport. It's really hard to say because this last weekend was an anomaly. This last weekend was a theater tour, and so those were fly, perform. So there was no circadian rhythm whatsoever.
And it could even be like a clean protein bar. Could be something that you could have, within an hour of waking up. At least it's going to give you, again, some macro balance, because most of those bars are made with some kind of dates or some kind of, sticky fruit to hold it together.
Yeah.
They add the protein, like we talked about the RX. Again, I have no affiliation to any of them.
Dude, I love those RX bars.
They have egg whites as the protein.
I love
and
those
then they
RX
have
bars.
I recommend the ones with almonds. It's a great, a healthy fat source. So that is, it's not a complete meal, but if you had that and you had like a green juice or something like that, that'd be a pretty darn good start to your day.
You mean green juice like you could buy at the store?
Yeah, like if you go to an airport, a lot of times now you can get these green, if you look at the ingredients and it's like what you described that you had this morning.
Yeah.
With the ginger and maybe a little bit of apple, but a lot of green vegetables. Okay, then, so I think we talked about the outfit analogy that I use for putting meals together.
A little bit, I forgot about
Okay.
it. Remind me.
Okay, so when you get dressed in the morning, you have to have a shirt, pants, and shoes. Okay, you
Yep.
can't wear 2 pairs of shoes at the same time.
Yeah.
You wouldn't wear 2 pairs of pants and no shirt and go out. I mean, you could,
Yeah.
but you probably wouldn't want to do that. So they're in the same way that there are kind of these 3 core elements of your outfit, there should be 3 core elements of your meals. One would be vegetables. So ideally breakfast, lunch, and dinner, there should be vegetables in there. And we're talking the lower starch, lower carb, high water, high fiber vegetables. So not like potatoes and stuff, but like, pretty much all the ones that are not like tuber, the ones that grow in, cucumbers and tomatoes and greens and, broccoli and spinach and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Then that's like the shirt. The pants part is lean protein. Could be eggs, it could be poultry or seafood. We talked about primarily it being those 3 things.
Yeah.
Or it could be a protein powder if you're doing a smoothie and you want to put a powder in it.
Okay.
Then the
So
shoes
if I had protein powder in my shake that I made today, would that have been better?
better, and also maybe half an avocado, some kind of healthy fat.
Really?
So that's the shoes part, is the healthy fat. So the best fats, in my opinion.
So I didn't mean to cut you off. So
Yep.
so greens, lean protein, and fat.
That's the core.
Those are the 3.
Those are the 3 cores.
Everyone write that down. Greens, lean proteins, and fat.
Yeah.
Because we're going to cut through all these right now.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily have to be green. It could be like red bell pepper. It doesn't have to be, green vegetables are amazing and they're really,
Yeah.
really, really important. But it can be like mushrooms. It can be, onions. It can be other vegetables that aren't necessarily
Load
green.
shit up with garlic.
Garlic, yeah, that's more, I guess it's a plant food. I don't know if I would call it a vegetable. I would think of it as more of a seasoning.
I eat cloves of garlic, like the whole thing. I used to roast garlic and eat so much garlic I would get sick.
Oh, roasted garlic's like candy. It just melts in your mouth.
It doesn't even seem like it's. I just
Yeah.
go, they're not calories.
Have you ever had the black garlic?
Yeah.
It's so
Is that
good.
elephant garlic? Is that? Or no, the big one's elephant. The black garlic's. Oh.
Yeah, and it's really high in antioxidants. Very,
yeah?
very anti-inflammatory.
I'll be making some
Good
garlic
for
this afternoon.
circulation. Good for gut health.
Okay, so here's what I want to do. I want to break down greens. I want to break down lean proteins. I want to break down fats. And then I want to break down what we should be looking at our day to look like. I'm really good at going, if you tell me ... and we'll do home and road ... then I can go like those RX bars. I just go, oh, I need a snack. I'm eating an RX bar. That's all there is. If I don't have a bunch of options, my brain works a lot better.
Yeah.
But once I start getting options,
Well, you know what? They say that if you give someone, like, if you're trying to pick out, fabric for your couch and you give someone like 10 options, they'll be kind of unhappy with their choice and second guessing their choice. If you give them 3 options, they'll be super confident about their choice. So I agree with you that having maybe sometimes for some people more narrow options that they can just, know it. They know how they feel when they have it. They know how to make it or how to put it together.
Yep.
It's easy.
Yep.
You repeat, you get the results.
Yep.
I think that works for a lot of people.
I think it's why I like being married as opposed to being single. When I went to a bar and I saw a bunch of women, I was like, but I look over the corner and I go, all right, that 6 is mine. I knew I was happy. Now, okay, so let's break down. So greens is I think it's easier to say what to avoid in greens, in vegetables. So like you want to stay away from like potatoes, baked potatoes, mashed potatoes. Yeah,
so they're vegetables, potatoes, squash.
Squash.
They are okay for you. However, they aren't really in the same category as these other vegetables because they have maybe 3 to 4 times as much carbohydrate per serving. So one thing I say is, like, if you had a potato and you throw it against the wall, it's going to thud. If you have a tomato and you throw it against the wall, it's going to splatter. Okay, so you want to have vegetables in this main category in the core of your meal. They're high water, low carbohydrate, low starch, high fiber. Okay, that's going to give you a lot of nutrients, antioxidants and vitamins and minerals, but it's going to give you low carbohydrate. Okay, as the core. Now you're going to add the accessory to this meal, like putting a hat on, like putting a jacket on over your shirt, like having a bag. As an add-on to the meal, though that should never be the core of the meal, but the accessory are all the carbohydrate foods. It's fruit, it's whole grains, it's the pulses, it's the starchy vegetables like finger leg potatoes.
Those are add-ons. Those are
add-ons. Okay, right? Okay. So when you have this philosophy, you're
talking to a guy who performs on stage with just jeans, sneakers, and a hat. So I feel like all I am is add-ons.
You're missing parts of the outfit. I'm
missing huge chunks.
Yeah.
So okay, so mushrooms okay, onions okay, broccoli's okay, cauliflower is okay.
Yes, excellent.
I love cauliflower.
Excellent.
I'm really into cauliflower mashed potatoes.
Okay, how do you make them?
Well, okay. Well, let's just put a pin in that.
We'll go back to that.
Cream cheese.
Okay.
Maybe they aren't the healthiest thing in the world, but so tomatoes are okay?
Yes.
And then you just want to say squash, zucchini, I'm imagining, eggplant, those are probably bad.
The green zucchini and the yellow zucchini, they're like sometimes called summer squash. Yeah. Those are low carb.
Okay.
Yeah. The higher, like butternut squash, that's a little bit higher carb. So again, like think of how heavy it is when
What about spaghetti squash?
Actually, that's sort of in between, but I would say you could count it as a lower carb vegetable.
I have a great spaghetti squash casserole that I make with it's got pasta sauce, but it's also got turkey sausage in it, and it's like a spaghetti. It's so fucking good.
Okay, so based on the core outfit, vegetables, or it could be again green or otherwise, but if someone just wanted to say greens, I'm fine with that to make it easier. The lean proteins and the healthy fats. So healthy fats, best ones are the monounsaturated fats, which is a type of chemical structure in fat that is really, really anti-inflammatory, good for circulation, helps boost up the good HDL cholesterol and lower the bad LDL cholesterol. So just really beneficial for your overall health, and happens to come from foods that are high in antioxidants. So that would be avocado or avocado oil, extra virgin olive oil, which is the first pressing of the olives, which captures a lot of that good nutrition in there.
But not cooked, right?
Well, you can heat olive oil actually higher than most people think. You can heat it to about 450 degrees.
And it'll retain its nutrients?
Yep.
Okay.
And then the tree nuts. So not peanuts so much. They're in a different plant family, but any nut that's not a peanut pretty much is a tree nut, meaning it grows on a tree. So that would be almonds, walnuts, pistachios, cashews, Brazil nut. I mean, any of those. Okay. And any nut butter that's made out of those. So cashew butter, walnut butter, almond butter. And then seeds like pumpkin seeds, tahini, which is sesame seed paste.
Almond butter? I love almond butter.
Oh my God. Almond butter is freaking amazing. Yeah, one of the best. I mean, for me, avocado and olive oil and almond butter like that does it for me. Like
Yeah.
it's so satisfying. Those are the types of fats that they're really good. They provide they do the jobs that fats do in the body, which was partially functional and partially is fuel. Okay. And at the same time, you get all these other nutrients coming in, but you feel satisfied without feeling sluggish. When you have a meal without fat, like if you had vegetables and protein by itself with no fat, you would not feel satisfied.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, they're satiating.
That's my definition of why I don't like dieting.
Right.
Because I don't think I've ever added fat to a diet ever. It's always lean proteins, greens. That's it. That's it.
Number one, totally boring, but also it's
completely boring.
It's imbalanced. It's like showing up without your shoes on. It doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense to wear, like today is a beautiful day here in LA. It doesn't make sense to put on a heavy jacket and a scarf and a hat and all that right now. You don't need that right now because the weather's really nice. It's
unless you're fat, you're trying to hide your body.
Oh, stop.
Because I have a sleeveless sweatshirt on. This makes no sense.
But no, really, it's a good analogy, right? Because it doesn't make sense to do that. It also doesn't make sense to actually like go to Ralph's or Whole Foods or whatever with no shirt and no shoes and walk in and expect everyone to treat you normal.
Yeah.
Right. So you want to be in balance, always balance. When it comes to sleep, when it comes to physical activity, when it comes to fluid and hydration, your body loves balance. It's kind of like if it's hot outside and you're getting overheated, your body gives you signals telling you, whoa, this is not good. If you stay in an overheated situation, you could die, right? So you get thirsty, you get flushed, you get red in the face and you sweat. That's your body telling you this is not good. Same thing with being too cold. Your teeth chatter, you get goosebumps, you get shivers. Your body's telling you.
Yeah.
We really need to start paying more attention to what balance, like they say that between 55 and 75 degrees for most people feels just right. When you're in that temperature, you don't even notice it because you're not getting any signals that this doesn't feel good. You're just kind of like existing, right?
So I should look for that in eating. I should look to go get done my meal and go, oh, this feels like 72 degrees.
Yes, exactly. When you're done with a meal, you should feel full, but not overly full. You shouldn't feel bloated or stuffed, and you should feel satisfied to the point where you're like, oh yeah, that did it for me. Like I'm not having lingering thoughts about food or feeling like I'm like, like that was, you feel like, oh yeah, that was good. Like I feel good. And then,
by the way, I know this is so remedial, and I'm certain that there's people going, yeah, no shit, Bert. But I don't think I've ever left. I haven't left many meals. I've never left a meal going out to eat, ever feeling either. I don't feel just satisfied. I feel either sick to my stomach or I didn't get enough to eat.
Yeah, those are the two extremes a lot of people exist in. And this middle space that we're talking about it feels so good. Like this morning when I had for
lunch. By the way, you're making me hungry talking about this. I'm going to try this for lunch. But
well, let me give you an example. If you had a salad, let's say you had a salad with, no oil, like just vinegar, right? Salad with vinegar with a piece of chicken on it.
Yeah.
Blah, boring,
Yeah, right.
boring. You're not going to feel satisfied by that. But let's say that you added olive oil or avocado or almonds or toasted walnuts or whatever to the salad. And then you added some fruit to the salad or some quinoa to the salad or some sweet potato to the salad. Now you're getting into a much better place of like, ooh, like this is feeling a lot better to what my body really needs, right? Yeah. So when you're done with that meal, you're going to feel also energized, like that you can go and be physically active or be mentally focused because now you've kind of checked all the boxes, you've given your body everything it needs, but you haven't gone excessive and you haven't undercut your needs. That just right feeling is what you want to try to aim for. And you should, as you develop some kind of pattern, be able to tell if you've hit it or not. When when you're ordering from a menu, if you're thinking about this outfit, like for example, I had a client texted me a photo of her salad, said, Cynthia, what do you think about this salad? It was a gorgeous, beautiful looking salad, right? But it actually was a little bit overkill because it had fresh fruit and dried fruit and quinoa. So for her, it was a little bit more carbs than she really needed, especially given she was going to be in meetings the rest of the afternoon, not out being physically active, right? Yeah. And it did have like a really nice piece of salmon on it, fantastic. But it also was like kind of like triple fat because it had nuts and avocado and dressing made with olive oil. So what I'm saying is that's like putting on 3 pairs of shoes. That's like putting on a jacket when it's not cold out. It doesn't.
All I do is fucking put on too many shoes and too many pants. Like I'm realizing as you say this, I don't have, and I'm sure that this is something to talk to my therapist about, but I don't have a middle ground of going, that looks well balanced and I'm just going to eat enough till I feel satisfied.
It can be a very foreign thing because most of us are taught, and you can delve into, with your therapist, like where do those rules come from? Where did I learn that? Sometimes we learn it from caregivers. Sometimes we learn it from like you said, being shamed, which is never, honestly, there is research. You can tell your friends there is research, because I'm a science-based person, to support the fact that bullying, shaming when it comes to weight actually has the opposite effect.
Well, they're going to disagree entirely.
Yeah.
And by the way, I can already feel the shaming starting. Like that phone call is the beginning of it. But for me, I don't know. I think for me, the shame holds me accountable, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like I haven't looked at a comment on Instagram all day because I know what they are. And so I'm just like, I don't know, like shutting it off. Is that my pool thing starting? And so, but yeah, the shame thing starts it off. So,
but you know what? When you do something that doesn't feel right, you don't need other people to tell you.
It's the reason I don't go to strip clubs. Shame. Shame is the reason I don't go to strip clubs. It's like I went to a strip club one time. And then I was like, it was in Cleveland. It was called Christie's. It's a really great strip club. And I was like, I just felt like I'm a dad and this just doesn't feel right anymore. Like it doesn't. And I think I've been maybe a couple times since, but like, I just was like, I think the behavior that I portrayed in my 20s no longer feels right in my 30s. I think I was probably 37 the last time I went to a strip club, legit. And so shame kind of keeps me away from that. I don't do cocaine because of the shame the next day. The shame where you go, I'm a fucking father. Like shame is a pretty visceral feeling with me. I feel like it's interesting. I think it's because I'm Catholic, but
I was raised Catholic. I went to Catholic school all the way through 10th grade. So I understand what you're saying. Yeah. I had nuns like slap me on the wrist with the rulers and stuff. But I think awareness is a better word, because I feel like shame has a negative connotation.
Yeah. Well, wait, you don't have to answer this, but I will ask it because this is very connected with me. The first time I had sex, I felt shame. I didn't feel like, that was great. Can't wait to do that again. I was like, oh, now I'm going to hell. Like, did that happen to you? Or
totally. Because I mean, those nuns are friggin' in your head.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely having to reassess. Like, I look at those things, whether it's what I got in my head from nuns or from caregivers or whoever, and say, all right, I know how this got there. Does it make sense for me now? Is it causing me to do things that are not in line with how I really want to be living, how I want to feel, what my really ultimate goals are? And if not, can I undo that and like find another way to think and act that actually supports really how I want to live and where I want to be in my life? I mean, it's more of a therapy thing, obviously, but it's very freeing. It's like it's soup. Like, I feel like one thing I'll tell you on a personal note for me is that in sports nutrition, a lot of people expect, like, I'm surprised, you haven't asked me this, which is, it's just interesting, but a lot of people say, well, what do you do? Do you do triathlons? Do you do marathons or whatever? For me personally, okay, I feel like competitive sports isn't good for my psychology. I need to do independent, like I'm athletic and I love being active, and I play tennis and I take dance classes and I take all kinds of like, workout classes, and, I work out at home on my own, and, I hike and I do all this stuff. But for me, like being in a competitive where I'm like got a number on and I'm getting ranked and I'm, for me, that's not good for my psychology.
Ooh, it pumps my psychology.
For some people it
competition, does. Like I don't have the switch where I can be like, I played a girlfriend in tennis one time, and I grew up playing tennis. I'm a pretty good tennis player. Even today, I could pick up and probably hit with you, pretty fine. But if I play a lot, I get really good. I say that I'm sure everyone's like Bert, but I get good enough that I could play with people who play. And I played a girlfriend in tennis, and she was kind of good, and I beat her. And she was like, why would you beat me? I said, because I'm better than you. She goes, yeah, well, we think you would let me win. And I said, why would I do that? Like, it's a game. I'm not going to, why would I just let you win? She goes, yeah, but you're a lot better than me. And I went, I know. And so what, was I supposed to let you, I'm not even joking. I couldn't wrap my head around the concept I was supposed to let you win so that I don't understand.
That doesn't really honestly make sense to me either.
Yeah.
But
well, we broke up. But
what I'm saying is
I cheated on her. No, I'm kidding.
But what I'm saying is I don't want to feel forced like, oh, because I work in sports nutrition, I have to be a competitive athlete.
Yeah.
I can just be an athlete of my own in my own way. Right?
I'm so competitive that
feels,
when Ian started talking about the triathlon, and we'll talk about that in a second, but we started talking about the triathlon and the breakdown of the times. He was like, all right, 15-minute swim. I'm going to say 15. You shouldn't be in the water longer than 15 minutes. No longer than 35 minutes run. No longer than 45 minutes jog. That's the time we're going for. And then he saw me swim, and he was like, I think you're going to be out of the water in like 6 minutes. And I was like, and then I started going, I bet I can shave my bike time down too, because I did spin class for so long. I was like, oh fuck yeah, this is how it goes. And then I started getting competitive with myself, and I think that's what happens with my calorie intake.
Yeah,
is I go, oh, we're at 1,100 calories. I bet we can not eat for the rest of the day. Let's see if we can do that.
But when you push yourself into now you're upping your risk of injury, and obviously it doesn't make sense. So what I'm saying is when you start to really like break some of this stuff down and you go, does this really make sense? Do I want to keep following through with this thinking? Yeah. If not, change your thinking. I mean, it's not an overnight thing, but it's definitely possible.
I think so.
You know? I mean, food is very personal, and there's a lot of emotional attachment to it,
right.
And there's a lot of history. Excuse me, like we're taught. I mean, like when I was a kid, if I got a good report card or if I got bullied at school, I would get food. You know, if I got fell off my bike and I got a scrape, I would get food.
Were you ever fat?
In college, I don't want to say if I would say fat. I mean, yeah, in college, I definitely had, I worked my way through college. So I worked at a restaurant. I worked at a fajita restaurant, and I would always like want to close because you make more money. Yeah. And I'd pay for school and books and all that kind of stuff. So, I was there till like 2:00 in the morning, and then I have class at 8:00 in the morning. And so you get out of, I had no money. So you get out of work at 2:00 in the morning and you're able to eat at the restaurant, whatever's there, which is like, not very healthy. So, and I went through periods of like having no money to where all I could afford was like Taco Bell and ramen and stuff like that. So, definitely went through those days. But, once I was really a nutrition major, like especially in my junior year where you really start getting into the nutrition science classes, I was like, all right, I've got to find a way, even on a budget, to do this healthfully. So pretty much from that point on until now, I really tried to be in balance. Yeah.
So then, okay, so we've talked about greens and we've talked about fats. I think I've wrapped my head around where you want your carbohydrates in. You want them to be the hat. You want them to be the extra thing.
Yeah.
What lean proteins seem like they'd be super easy to wrap your head around, except I found myself at the store the day after I hung out with you, and I was like, I'm gonna get a piece of fish, and then I'm like, fuck, what fish do I want? I was like, she can't mean salmon. And then I was like, she can't mean Chilean sea bass. Is it cod? I don't even know if cod's good for you. And so I was like, swordfish? And then I was like, and then you have all these things people plan in your head. Swordfish is filled with cancer. So is tuna. So I was like, oh, fuck. And so I was like, okay, let's talk about lean proteins. We know that chicken breast is good.
Yes.
Not chicken thighs, right?
They're not terrible.
Now, rotisserie chicken.
Yeah.
Healthy?
I mean, I think when it comes to poultry, I think organic as often as possible.
Yeah.
Because the chickens are fed an all vegetarian organic diet. It does change the composition of the meat and the little bit of fats that are in that meat.
Our friends' 11-year-olds started getting breasts, and it was because they were eating non-organic chickens.
Wow.
They would have just steroid pump chickens.
I don't remember if we talked about this, but there was a study, I can't recall the university, but it was like a really good, well-known university, where they looked at data from 1970, so like when I was born, to now. And then they said, all right, if someone had the exact same calorie intake, same macros, so carb, protein, fat breakdown, same exercise program, they would weigh more now than they did in 1970 because of all the exposure to these chemicals that do affect our metabolism and our hormone balance. God. And so, we've got, it's in everything. It's in electronics, like the flame retardants that we're exposed to, all of our, obviously food packaging and, cosmetics and cleaning products and all that kind of stuff. So we're kind of like
for 22 years.
Yeah. We're living in a chemical soup. Really?
Yeah.
So as much as you can minimize your ingestion when it comes to food of any additional chemicals, whether it's pesticide residues or hormones or antibiotic residue, that's great.
So you always want to try to go organic?
Yeah.
Always try to go organic.
As often as possible. The most important things to go organic, in my opinion, are animal foods, animal-based foods, because it affects what they eat as well as how they're cared for and what they're exposed to. So it's like if a woman's breastfeeding, anything she's exposed to is going to go into the breast milk, right? Mm-hmm. It's same thing with if a cow is producing milk, whatever's in that milk is, going to be somewhat impacted by that cow's food and environment. So whether you're ingesting the actual meat of the animal or the milk of the animal, this is an important consideration. The other things would be there, and when it comes to seafood, there are a few apps that really break it down for you.
Tell me right now. I'm downloading them as we speak.
Okay, Seafood Watch is
Seafood Watch.
Yeah, a really great app that is put out by the Monterey Bay Aquarium, which sounds weird that an aquarium would have an app, but
I know the Monterey Bay Aquarium very well.
Okay, they're fantastic because they're really all about sustainability of seafood. And
the Monterey Bay Aquarium. Fuck yeah! You know who works in coexistence with the Monterey Bay Aquarium is Blue Apron.
Yeah. So
we love Blue Apron.
They're really they're all about protecting the quality of seafood and making sure it's safe and sustainable. And so they rank their seafood.
Seafood Watch is the first app that comes up.
Yep, that's great. And
all
then
right, I got it.
There's also the Dirty Dozen app.
Dirty Dozen.
And that's put out by the Environmental Working Group, and that's an app.
Dirty Dozen, that scares me.
It's a great name, isn't it?
The Dirty Dozen. I'm downloading it right now.
Sounds like the name of could be something else, but it's a really good app. But it basically tells you the dozen types of produce that have the least or the most. The dozen has the most pesticide.
Dirty Dozen.
Yep.
All right, get it.
The produce that has the most pesticide residues, that whenever possible you want to go organic with those. And then there's something called the Clean 15, which are 15 that have the lowest levels of pesticide residues or the least toxic residues.
And that's I don't need to get the.
No, that's the same. It's within the same app.
Right,
so those are very handy. Like when you're at the store, like if you're at the store and you're looking at something like pineapple and you go, oh, the organic pineapple is like 3 times more expensive than the conventional. Do I get the organic? You could look up on the app and it goes, oh no, that's one of the Clean 15, meaning like a lot of the Clean 15 have to do with, number one, the types of pesticides that are required for that type of plant, but also how the outside of the plant is like, you're not going to eat the outside of the pineapple. So even if it has some residues on it, you're going to cut through and you're going to discard the rind of the pineapple.
I just started doing that with cucumber because I was like, I think I'm eating wax.
If it's conventional, it may be waxed.
And I was like, why am I eating wax?
Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing.
So those are good. But the Seafood Watch one is really good for like
Dirty Dozen.
Swordfish. Should I have swordfish or
no,
not?
That's not Dirty Dozen. That's Seafood Watch.
Seafood Watch, really good.
Okay, I got a piece of swordfish today. Do I want this to use my location? Sure.
You know why that's good, Bert, when you travel? Because it is somewhat regional. So
okay.
it will change the recommendations based on where you are. Like if you're in New York, it'll give you
so it knows I'm in LA.
Yeah.
So let's type in swordfish.
Probably going to tell you it's a bit high in mercury.
Yeah. That's
so
cancer.
I mean, and
it's
mercury.
Wild, domestic or imported. And this tells you its results. 5. How does this work?
It should be like a red light, yellow light, green light thing. It's
got green, red, and the red's got an 11 on it. I think that means don't fuck with it.
That's one that you probably want to have less frequently. Like generally, to avoid excess mercury, you probably want to keep your seafood around 12 ounces a week, which is probably about like if you're having a 6-ounce portion. So we're talking 3 times a week seafood, and then within that 12 ounces you want to have low mercury varieties.
This is really fucking insane. This is so like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to go through this and figure out seafoods to eat.
But you know what here you can do is just find some that are all green. And so, for example, like wild Alaskan salmon is generally a green, and it's high omega-3s and low mercury.
Yeah.
And it's sustainably sourced. I mean, obviously there's not enough wild Alaskan salmon to meet the needs of everybody in America.
Yeah.
But you can find it.
Oh my god, that makes you like almost like you start looking at it and going, "Fuck, I'll just get a cheeseburger." Like. Because you're like, I just bought a piece of salmon or a piece of swordfish in there. And when the guy put it in, I was like, I remember looking at it going, that just looks like it's unhealthy. Like, I remember looking at it going, that can't be healthy.
But the analogy I like to use for that is like, okay, let's say your house is on fire. Do you and you can try to put it out. Do you just go, oh, they'll just throw more gasoline on it?
No, I immediately say, save me and my daughters. Leave my wife to burn. No. I see what you're saying. Don't add more gasoline, but try to. You're going in the right direction, but you got to keep low in mercury. Mercury is the thing that gives you cancer, I think.
Well, we don't have a lot of data on mercury. I mean,
Okay,
we do.
cool.
We
Leave
know,
it at that. That's all I
yeah,
want to know. That'll keep. I don't need
We
that.
know.
Won't keep me up at night.
Not good for you. We know that.
So now, okay. So I think we've covered a lot. What I'd like to do for me and my listeners, and I'm going to do a clip of this out. Clip this out so that it goes online, so that my fans can watch this and learn from this. And like I said, the less clothing options I got in the closet, the better for me. I'm Jeff Goldblum up in this motherfucker. Like, do you get that reference? In The Fly, he only wore the exact same thing every day.
I've heard that about Einstein. He
My
had,
buddy
one
Tom
outfit.
Segura does that with all he wears is double XLs. So nothing. Hey. So then, all right. Walk me through a day.
All right, I need to know what time you're training. That's going to be important for your...
Come on. I'm in training in the morning.
Okay, so get up, oatmeal with banana and a little bit of maple syrup and cinnamon.
Right when I wake up.
Yeah,
Right when I wake up.
before training. Because how long is it between the time you wake up and the time you train?
For me, like this morning, I got up. I got up, killed the water, took a crap, floated around, went over to Gelson's, got my greens, came home, made the shake, took the girls to tennis, came home and trained.
Okay, so an hour?
So like I woke up at probably an hour.
Okay, and how long did the training session last today?
40 minutes today, but I'm going to train again today. That was just a light one.
Mm-hmm.
Just a light one because I've been out of it, and so I wanted to just break a sweat and then start my day. That's in my head, and then I was like, I'm going to train again later today.
Okay, so the hat or the accessory, the jacket, the bag, whatever.
Yeah.
Those are good pre-training because we talked about last time, carbohydrates are pretty easy to digest and absorb. They get into the bloodstream and they become a readily available fuel during the training session. So when you eat carbohydrates, like if it's a lighter training session, you could have just a banana. If it's a little bit heavier, oatmeal, maple syrup, banana.
Oatmeal. Now, can I get the packet oatmeal? Because I think no. I got McCann's in the can.
Okay. That I think, and they may make more than one type, but if it's steel cut oats, you have to cook. It takes a long time to cook, right? So steel cut oats are basically larger pieces of oats. They're chopped up into larger bits, basically. So they take longer to cook. When you get rolled oats, they're kind of steam rolled. They're like smaller pieces that are then flattened out. And so those are, very easy to cook. So for those, you can just add hot water.
Yeah, that's what I was
pretty much
looking
eat
for.
them. Yeah, which are fine. And there's like Whole Foods brand or whatever, maybe
So
some
you can
organic.
get the packets one.
If the only ingredient is the packet is oats, and I would say rolled oats is really nice. Like rolled oats is a good, like old, or sometimes they're called old fashioned rolled oats. So you add hot water, you add a little bit of maple syrup and some cinnamon, a chopped up banana. That would be good for a little bit longer training session, maybe an hour or one that's maybe a little bit more intense.
I'll go light on that regardless.
Okay.
Like I'll go rolled oats, a little bit of fruit. And then I probably will skip the maple syrup because then once I open that fucking door.
Some people, cinnamon helps, but a lot of people.
Yeah, my wife said cinnamon's like a magic thing.
It's a sweet spice, meaning it does not sweet in and of itself. It doesn't have any sugar in it, but it gives a sensation of sweetness and obviously has flavor. It's really good for cognitive function as well. So it's good for pre-exercise. Helps balance blood sugar and insulin regulation. So that's before you train. Okay, then after you train, you said you love eggs and you have chickens.
Eggs.
Okay, so an omelet with a lot of vegetables, or you could do the juice that you said with all the veggies and the apple and the ginger. That could be your vegetables, or you could put vegetables in the omelet with the eggs.
I sometimes I will take literally more spinach than you could ever imagine would go in an omelet, and I'll make that omelet. I love that. Okay. But I was thinking, I'm going through a scrambled egg phase right now. Mm-hmm. Bourdain had this thing about how to make the best scrambled egg, and now I'm going through this like wet scrambled egg phase. So I was thinking like eggs and a green juice.
Yeah.
And go light. Don't really try to murder it the way I do, where feel like I'm going to physically throw up at the end of it.
No, you should not feel that way at the end of a meal. So green juice, eggs, then for your good fat, it can be avocado would be fantastic.
A little bit of avocado.
Half of an avocado.
Okay.
Okay.
It would be great if you could have avocado toast.
Okay, so here's the question about the toast. You do need some carbs. I think fruit, again, like if you put a little bit of apple in the green juice, or you have fruit on the side, especially like a really nice in-season fruit right now. All the berries and the cherries are in season, which are amazing.
Yeah,
and
strawberries taste like candy right now.
They do. Oh my God, they're amazing. So that would be a great carbohydrate choice at that time. But if you wanted to do a piece of toast and put the avocado on the toast as an alternative to the fruit, because again, you don't want to double up.
Yeah.
That would be like putting on two shirts, right? You could could do like a really healthy, like again, another brand that I like, no brand affiliation, is that Food for Life. It's the Ezekiel, bread. So yeah, and they make a gluten-free. I mean, it doesn't sound like you have any issues with gluten.
I think I may a little bit. I noticed that when I eat less bread, I feel healthier. I feel better.
Try the gluten. They make a lot of gluten-free breads that are made with like black rice and like really cool gluten-free whole grains. You could try that, and but I think honestly you'll probably feel better if you had the fresh fruit instead.
Okay.
So omelet with veggies with avocado, half an avocado, and like a nice handful of fruit, or put some of the fruit in with the juice.
In with the juice. Okay, that's great.
So perfect. And then any herbs like fresh basil, turmeric and black pepper combo. You always want to have those together because the black pepper helps absorb the beneficial compounds in the turmeric that you might not otherwise absorb. A little sea salt because you've probably sweat and you want to get some of that sodium back in.
A little pinch, and I sprinkle it all over everything.
Perfect. Okay, that sounds like a fantastic post-workout meal.
Okay,
then...
Oh, hold on. Now we're going to take the Mega Men's Fitness Pack from UGNC. Is that a good idea or a bad idea?
Not 100% familiar.
12 vitamins inside it.
Okay.
And I eat that. I take one of those.
So it's basically like multivitamin?
It's a bunch of multivitamins. It's like everything that would make you healthy, but it's a big vitamin pack.
Okay. I don't know. I'm not familiar off the top of my head, but this doesn't sound like we're adding to the macros here. These are micronutrients. Yeah. We're not adding to your carb, protein, fat intake. It's not like a protein shake or anything like that.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. No.
Okay. All right. So then when is the next, what are you going to be doing from the time you eat that meal to are you training again?
What time is it right now? No, I won't train. It's 12:30. Okay. So I will probably go, I'm going to go eat something now. So that's my morning. I should have had eggs, but all I had was, what I should have had was a little bit of oatmeal with a little bit of fruit. We had some raspberries that looked really good, and I didn't have that. I should have had that worked out. I should have had my green juice directly after my workout, my green juice with a couple eggs, maybe 3.
3 is fine.
Okay, 3 is great. Yeah. I can't do 2 eggs. I start missing life. 3 eggs. Sometimes I'll scramble 2 eggs and then I'll fry one and I put a fried egg on top of 2 scrambled eggs.
Cool.
Oh, sometimes I get egg whites and then I get 2 eggs over easy and put them on top of an egg white omelet and don't eat the whole thing. So then for lunch we'll be right now.
Don't forget your avocado.
And avocado.
And then add those spices and herbs to the omelet. Many more antioxidants that you're adding there with turmeric, black pepper, basil, Italian seasoning. Any of those are great. Cilantro.
Just spice up shit.
Spice it up.
Spice up shit.
Yeah.
Okay, I got that. So then for lunch, here we go. Lean protein, green and fat. I'm going to have this fucking swordfish because I just bought it. Jupiter, Florida. Pass on that. I'll have the swordfish. I was going to put it in some sort of, part of me was thinking, spice it up with some hot sauces that I got. I've got some different hot sauces. And then either grill it or bake it. We just got a new little oven and my wife probably wanted me to bake it. Bake it, put it on top of a salad, I guess, because by the way, I could just eat the fucking swordfish. Sometimes that's what I do. I just eat swordfish.
But then if you do eat it by itself, you want to have either grilled or roasted or some kind of vegetables.
Okay, grilled vegetables.
And aim for 2 baseballs of vegetables at that meal.
Okay, so how about this? I've got peppers in there. Peppers and onions.
Great.
I'm going to do swordfish skewers with peppers and onions on it.
Okay. Do you think you're going to get 2 baseballs worth of peppers and onions?
And that's why I'll eat some broccoli too.
Awesome.
Or cauliflower.
Okay.
I'll do what about
cauliflower roasted on the grill?
Shut
in the foil
up.
with garlic in it, and then maybe a little drizzle of balsamic vinegar over the top.
Okay, we're in. Now, what's my fat for this one? Cheese?
Not honestly the best fat.
Okay.
I mean, I would say again, going back to your top 3 choices are going to be your extra virgin olive oil, which again you can use to prepare any of that stuff.
Yeah.
It could also be a pesto made with olive oil. Like there's a great pesto. Again, I have no brand affiliation, but I am in love with this pesto. It's called Seggiano, and it's made with extra virgin olive oil and cashews, and it's so good. I mean, you can slather that over your vegetables
my mouth
or your
is
fish.
Watering so bad, and my wife doesn't believe Mal's water. My mouth is fucking watering. Maybe I'll do pesto on top of all my veggies on my salmon.
So good. Love that combination.
I'll do a pesto on top of my salmon with the peppers and onions, maybe a jalapeno in there.
Yeah.
I love a jalapeno. And then I'll do grilled cauliflower. That's what I'm doing for lunch.
So what you just described, Bert, you can do that type of meal and just mix and match, kind of like, do you remember the Granimals when we were kids? They were like the mix and match, like the
You're
tiger.
looking at my body. You don't think I remember Granimals?
The tiger goes with the tiger and the giraffe, whatever. Like you just mix and match. So if you want to have like, maybe you have Brussels sprouts instead of the cauliflower, maybe you have asparagus or whatever, just same structure, just mix up the different foods within those food groups. So maybe one day you want to have guacamole or tahini instead of the pesto.
Tahini? I can have tahini?
Tahini is amazing. You know, you can buy tahini, like organic tahini in a jar, like at Ralph's or Whole Foods or whatever.
Going to Gelson's today and buying organic tahini.
Add a little lemon juice and then add a little bit of spices to it. Like you can add like a little cayenne pepper or just black pepper and sea salt, or you can add a little cumin, you know, just spice it up a little bit. Spice it up is a good philosophy for your meals. And then so that's your core. You got the core down. Now to your lunch, you want to add an accessory in a small amount, because if you're not going to be training again.
I'm going to be training again today.
Okay. So what's the time? What's the interval between the time you stop eating and the time you start training?
Stop eating and start training. I will have a podcast at 3. I will eat something before my podcast at 3. I get done my podcast at 3 and I'll work out one more time, and then I have a spot at the store. Okay,
so when you have a more balanced meal like this, so let's go back to finishing the meal. Your accessory, it could be oven roasted fingerling or grilled fingerling potatoes. It could be quinoa. It could be brown rice. It could be sweet potato. It could be, you know, any of these like more starchy vegetables or pulse, like black beans, chickpeas.
I love black beans.
Do you like roasted chickpeas?
I don't know if I've ever had roasted chickpeas. Oh my God,
they're amazing. Put them on a baking sheet. Just, you know, really, you don't even have to do anything to them. You can even buy canned. You drain the can, you rinse it really, really, really well.
Yeah.
Okay, then you sort of pat them dry, put them on a baking sheet, put them in the oven. You can also do it on the grill, and they get like that golden kind of like crispness on the outside.
Really?
Oh, they're amazing.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I'm trying that tonight.
So any of that on the side, and we're talking probably a pretty small portion, like maybe like no more than a handful. Okay. Of this accessory, of this, like I call it the energy accessory, because, you know, carbs are your energy or your fuel. So on the side. No, you can tell just from what we've been talking about that if someone went to Chipotle and they got a burrito and they've got this big flour tortilla and they're filling it with rice and beans and they're over accessorizing.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. If you had a Chipotle bowl where you've got, like we talked about this, greens on the bottom, maybe a little bit of brown rice and black beans, like smaller portion, the chicken, maybe you even need double chicken depending on.
I'll go double chicken. Okay. I'm getting the vegetables from the fajita.
Yep.
I never do the rice, but I'll put a little brown rice. I wouldn't mind a little brown rice.
And a little black beans. Black beans are one of the best foods you can eat. Salsa, and then guacamole. So you've got all the pieces of the outfit there. You've got the veggies, right? You got a lot of veggies. Like in that Chipotle bowl that we just described, you could probably have 2 baseballs of vegetables if you get the greens on the bottom, right? And then you've got your lean protein from the chicken. You've got your guacamole for the healthy fat. You've got a little bit of brown rice and black beans for that would be a meal, I would hope, and you'll have to let me know, that when you're done, you have that Goldilocks, you have that 72 degrees feeling.
I'll eat it this weekend in Pittsburgh.
You feel just right. I mean, that's a good thing about Chipotle is, they're everywhere. So if you have a go-to meal, a go-to place and a go-to meal, you can recreate it when you're traveling on the road.
I'll FaceTime you. The Men's Health is coming out to shoot with me in Pittsburgh this weekend.
Oh, great.
And so I will get that meal, because that is another hard thing for me, is like if I can just figure out things to eat on the road that look healthy, that are healthy, not look healthy, but are healthy, then I can just go, well, that's where and then especially in stand-up, you go, oh, there's one right there. There's always a Chipotle.
There's always a Chipotle. And then when there's like Qdoba, something that's pretty similar, that you can get pretty much the same balance. So when you have this visual in your head, you can recreate this, whether you're like if there's a Whole Foods and you're at like, you know, the hot bar, the salad bar, and you're like putting things in your container, you know, or you're ordering from a menu at a sit-down restaurant, you can recreate this no matter where you are.
Yeah, I can recreate that. And especially once I get my head around it, where I go, I think a lot of it has to do is if you have a little pre-thought into it going into eating the meal, then you go, oh, I know what I'm making, as opposed to going to the fridge and going, what am I making? And you're like, I got that. Fuck, put it in a tortilla.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, true. So if you got the visual of 2 baseballs of the vegetables, about 2 decks of cards in thickness and width of your protein, you know, half an avocado or
2 deck of cards in protein.
Yep. So if you think of, I mean, you probably have a deck of cards around here somewhere.
So thank you so much. I've always had a hard time going, how many ounces?
It's about 6 ounces cooked.
6 ounces is 2 decks of cards?
Yep.
Okay.
6 ounces cooked is about 2 Dexcards. Half an avocado if it's an avocado, a pretty generous drizzle of olive oil if it's olive oil, a big, a good, generous scoop of pesto if it's pesto. The other things, the nuts, the tree nuts. So if you ever almonds, walnuts, pistachios, all those are awesome sprinkled on top of, it could be cooked vegetables or, obviously a salad too. They're really good, just like a great add-on. Like if you haven't used fat in the meal itself, like if you just grilled stuff by itself without using oil and you want to add a fat to that meal to make it complete, throw a handful of nuts on there.
Really, like on a salad or something?
Oh, it's so good.
For real?
Yeah, like almonds, walnuts.
I could do cashews on them.
Oh yeah,
but not raw cashews, like roasted with some salt on them.
They can totally be roasted and salted. Okay. Absolutely.
I'm fucking starving now.
So now. Another question about timing is, again, if you need to do you need to refuel between that meal and the time that you start training again? A good rule of thumb is if it's been over 2 to 3 hours from the time you ate that meal to when you're going to start getting your heart rate up again, you probably need to have a pre-exercise snack to fuel you.
Okay.
Now, if it's been less than 2.5 hours, like you need to give your food time to digest. You don't want to eat a meal like that we just described, the outfit meal, and then train an hour later, because you're still going to be digesting that meal.
Burping it up is what you mean.
Yeah, you have this. We talked about competing blood flow. You have blood flow going to your gut to break down the meal, and then you start getting your heart rate up. You're going to have blood flow going away from your gut and towards your muscles and your cardiovascular system to help support the exercise. And that can give you cramps and like a brick sitting in your stomach feeling, and then you're not really going to digest properly.
That was what was happening with me. I drank so much green juice today that I literally was having acid reflux from my green juice, and I drank way too much. I think I need to make those smaller.
Always about balance. So when you if you're going to refuel, a non-acidic fruit. That's why bananas are great, because they're very easy.
So like refuel, like a half a banana?
Half a banana, again, depending on the intensity and the length of the training session. If it's going to be 45 minutes, something like that, that's probably fine.
What about those RX bars?
Not good for pre-exercise. That would be a good
because it's
post.
Protein.
Exactly. And it would be good as a meal replacement along with, say, a green juice. Like if you're really in a pinch, bring those with you on the road. And if you really can't get a good meal, or you're on a flight and it's like a roast beef sandwich or something, have an RX bar and a green juice, and at least you're closer to this outfit because you've got some vegetables from the green juice, you've got some protein in the bar, you've got some fat in the bar from almonds or whatever kind of nut they use, and you've got some carbs in the bar from the dates or whatever fruit that's in there. So you're pretty balanced with that. It's not going to be maybe as satisfying as a real meal that you get to chew more and eat more volume, but it's better than having a crappy, pretty low nutrient meal that's going to make you feel sluggish and like low energy and I'm
fucking ready.
When you have the tools, I think like when you have the knowledge and the strategy, you can, even if you do this 80% of the time, I think you're going to feel so much better, and you're going to be doing this the right way. You're going to be, when you
80% of the time, I can do 80% of the time easy.
We talked about, and again, when that 20%, be strategic about when. If you're going to splurge, you're going to have like a bacon cheeseburger or pepperoni pizza or dessert or whatever like that.
Yeah.
Don't do it right before or right after you've performed. If you're going to go into a performance, mental or physical, or your performances are probably highly both, mental and physical, right? So, if you eat something pretty low nutrient and heavy and hard to digest, it's going to mean less oxygen and blood flow and nutrients getting to your brain. It's not going to help your performance. And then right after a performance, when you've put wear and tear and stress on your body, you want optimal healing. That's when you're primed for healing. And so you want good nutrition during that window of opportunity as well.
I'm going hard on this week. And then I'm going hard. See, this is what's the beauty of this. I knew this last week was going to be tough on me, and I think I did good leading up, except I wasn't eating enough calories. I'm home today. Tomorrow I leave Thursday so that I can do press Friday. Probably drink Friday morning, only because we're going to have fun. But you know what? Keep it light. Maybe smoke some weed. Nothing too much. Oof. And then if I can eat good at lunch that day and eat a healthy dinner that night, and then drink and eat a healthy recovery or just go to sleep, then I think I can, because then I'm off for like 19 days.
Oh, wow.
And so I don't have a problem keeping control of my lifestyle when I'm home.
Yeah.
It's when I'm on the road. And the one problem I left this weekend with is I'm planning a big tour almost from January to like July, like around the world next year, we'll see. I mean, I don't know what, I can't promise anything. If anyone's listening, don't get your hopes up, but we're planning that. And I left this weekend saying, I cannot do that. I will not be able to function like that. My stomach was so distended on the plane that my jacket was tight. And that has never happened. And I was like, oh, this is your body fighting back. Your body's trying to give you warning signs to go like, hey, we can't do this like this. You're 45. Like you need to, and it's the only reason I'm training for this triathlon is because I was like, oh, will give me a goal and I can stay on track and have a workout plan and a goal. And if I can eat right, then I can attain that goal. And I think, it's one of the things that I was trying to do with the marathon was like, we can all do a marathon. But yeah, anyone can do it. Definitely anyone can run a marathon if you want. If you train, and then it'll be fun. Or you can do a marathon with no training like I did, and your body just fights back.
Yeah, and then you may be in physical therapy afterwards. I
was in cryogenic therapy for like a week every day. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. So the same structure that we just talked about at lunch, recreate at dinner as often as you can. If you really want to splurge, if you're in a city that has some amazing food that you don't want to miss out on, then what I would say is maybe
like Permane Brothers and yeah, I already know. By the way, I already know where I'm eating lunch. And when I said, and then I'll drink a little bit of it, and then I was like, if I could eat a healthy lunch, and I was like, oh, we're going to Permane Brothers. I guarantee we're going to Permane Brothers. Ugh. Yeah. Okay. Keep going.
So when you do that, do you think the timing makes sense with when you want to feel your best?
No, it doesn't. It definitely doesn't.
Is it going to be before you perform or after?
It would be both, but probably both. I'm going to try to look at my cheat of getting that sandwich. Such a good fucking sandwich. I'm going to look at my cheat as going, find when I can sneak it in and it doesn't hurt me. Mm-hmm. Which will probably be before my podcast on Saturday.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, because I can phone in a podcast.
Exactly, yeah.
But, yeah. Well, this has been fucking phenomenal. Thank you so much. I'm going to text you when I eat healthy in Pittsburgh. And then you follow my eating. And then you can feel free to text me and call me out on my bullshit.
Okay.
And I'll post it to the Instagram. And then What's your are you cool with people finding you on Twitter and on Instagram?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so what's your Instagram and Twitter? And we'll put it at the beginning of this podcast as well.
So Twitter is just my name, Cynthia Sass, like sassy without the Y on the end.
With 2 S's.
Yep. And then Instagram, that was taken. So it's Cyn, CYN_Sass.
Okay, nice. You're going to get a lot of people hitting you up with questions about diet. I have a question. I have an eating contest I'm going into.
Not my specialty.
So I wonder do you know if we're supposed to meet up again before the competition, before the triathlon?
I think it's kind of up to us. And I mean, I would love to, like I said, I'd like to be a resource for you and really help in as much as I can support you in this, because again, I love this and I would like to see people cool people do well and, meet their goals. And so however I can help, let me know. This has been awesome. I will, we're going to do this. We'll probably link up again before the triathlon, but regardless, I'm going to keep in touch with you. And if anyone wants to, like you say, you have high-end clients that are people that are like, I want this. I want this service. Yeah. They can hit you up at your email, I'm guessing, right? Yep. Or on my website. Yeah, there's a contact form there. And also, on Instagram, I think you can message or, whatever. What's your website? Just my name, CynthiaSass.com. CynthiaSass.com. You're phenomenal. I can't believe you're fucking 48. I literally cannot believe you're 48. You should make a shirt that says, can you believe I'm 48? It's because of the way I eat. My name's Cynthia. Hit me up. This has been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's been a pleasure for me too. Awesome. I look forward to keeping in touch. Oh, I look forward to being skinny. I'm going to go fucking murder food right now. Okay.